and I spend all my money on whiskey and beer. Go down in some hollow and set up my still.
Noble you.
The novel me.
Yeah.
What? Why?
Man, I tell you.
You want me back out of your chair?
I've been listening to podcasts in my absence, and I appear to be an easy, cheap target.
Well, I wouldn't say easy. I go with easy, but I wouldn't say cheap because I know what's coming. I wouldn't do it if I didn't know what was coming.
Roger that.
Huh?
He's recording now as well, isn't he? You're doing that dirty bloody trick again.
I was in.
Unreal. You are a devious, conniving, underhanded, just unprofessional. Unprofessional.
I'm going to start hitting record a whole lot earlier than I've been doing here, because we get all the good stuff before we even start most of the time. But welcome back once again, the Appalachian Podcast. We are on site down here at the Franklin County Moonshine Heritage Festival. We got music going on, people walking around. Not quite as big as we would have liked. I think the weather really put a big hamper on that, and that kind of sucks. I mean, I was telling my co-host Chris, his wife, real quick.
Oh, I like that too. Nice cheap shot. I like that. I see where you're going, the pair of you.
I said, I'm not big on the conspiracies, but at this point in time, we've been proven right more times than not. I said, I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. I think they control the weather. I think during the week, they give us beautiful days, and on the weekend, they throw up the chemicals in the sky to make it rain, just to shit on us and make us a little bit more miserable. And that's kind of what happened today. But we're making the best of it. We got a good crowd here. This is going to be kind of like our coming home to Franklin County Christmas event, where we're just set up, and whoever drops by is going to come on and
who comes staggering through the door.
So, Chris, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
We're being joined here today by our guest co-host, Simon Wentz.
Yeah,
Simon.
Yeah.
The pair of you can kiss my ass.
Yeah. Well, we better be easy. He didn't come out swinging hot and heavy. Goodness gracious. I mean.
And I'm only a few liquor drinks in, too.
Well, yeah. It's you good and relaxed. Now you just remember my little girl said.
I know. I'm just trying to keep it as clean as I can right now. That was another dirty little stunt you played. I see what you did.
What's that?
I see what you did.
What's
you put an innocent on your lap there.
Oh well.
Mean, hang about. I mean, we can draw an analogy here. Is a human shield? Perhaps are we looking at?
No, this is my attack dog. You better watch it. She'll kill you. She'll get you with them big eyes.
Big brown eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I know. She got me once already.
Yeah. She'll, no, man, it's good to be back. We just been hanging out with the family all day. We got up at about 7 o'clock this morning and went down to the Old Dominion Arena, and they was having a Pennsylvania County, well, it was for anybody and everybody, but they was having a dairy cow show, and the kids in the FFA, and we had a couple kids from Franklin County down there representing us, but none of them from the dairy farms up here. We're getting ready to change that. I got some contact information, and we're going to look to start up our own dairy show group, or just plain cow show group here in the county, and maybe we can make this thing a bigger thing, because right now it was 4 farms down there from Pennsylvania County.
Why are we not on board with this? I mean, why are we dragging our feet? I thought we had a very strong following at one point.
I know. I'm sure we used to back in the day, but for some reason, Franklin County, I mean, we're dragging a little bit.
Well, the Ag Board is now back on board, right?
Well, yeah, that's right. So I'm going to be reaching out to them. I'm going to be reaching out to our extension agent. I mean, at one point we had the most dairy farms in the county for
Explain
counties.
to me what an extension agent is, because I hear that term a lot, and I just kind of waffle my way through it, not really aware of the position.
So our extension agent, she does anything and everything related to ag. Part of her job is to reach out to all the farmers.
We met her, right?
We did.
Cynthia
Martell.
That's right. Okay.
Martell. So her job is to reach out to all the farmers, let them know what's coming down the pipeline,
Now she's Virginia State Ag Board. Is it state?
I think
it's state.
Yeah, because her job is through the state, but I mean, she does it all. You know, if you got problems and you can't figure them out, and you contact her, she'll reach out with all her resources and see if they can put together, you know, what's going on with what you got going on. She puts together various programs throughout the year for the county, for the farmers, and for anything agriculture. She's a great lady.
Great resource.
Yeah, she is. I'm gonna tell you, she does some stuff with the 4-H, and I'm telling you, she all around, she's a wonderful person to have at the disposal of the farmers, because she loves to help interact, figure out problems, and it's real good to have her on board. But we're gonna be putting together a group between the 4-H Center and the FFA.
Now the 4-H Centre's down on Sontag, is it not?
No.
That's the recreation.
That's the recreation part. Where's the 4-H?
It's on the lake.
It's up near here, isn't it?
Yeah. If you go back out to
Scruggs Road, hit
almost to Dairy Queen.
Okay.
You'll see the sign for the 4-H
Okay, I know where it is now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just something that, I mean, we're farm country here, and we still got, you know, a few dairies. So that's something we need to be doing with our FFA. I mean, classroom is good. Some of the things they're doing is good, but when it boils down to it, FFA, it's Future Farmers of America is what it stands for, and we've got to start getting our farm kids into it more.
Absolutely.
And
let's get Mark Barnhart involved here. I'm
sure we can.
He's, you know, got one of the biggest dairy operations.
So we got down there at 9:15, and we left down there about 3:00.
Wow.
And they were constantly showing all the time, you know, and that's something that excites me, not just as a dairy farmer, but as a farmer in period, to see those young generations coming up, you know.
We've got to get them back on board.
We do. If not, you know, I think, 37 of us left in the county, dairy farmers right now.
Well, we're down to what was the figure now? 3%.
Yeah.
3%.
Yeah.
Is agriculture now, and that should alarm the, you know what, out of a lot of folks.
And standing right here, not to pull him into something he didn't want to do, but we got a former dairy farmer. He's been retired for a few years now, but Van Flora.
Van the man.
This man, I spent many days at his place growing up, especially in high school, and we was just talking before we got on air, and I asked him, I said, you farmed for 30-some years? And he said something like that. I could actually make money back in. So if that doesn't tell you something.
Well, anybody that's ever listened to most of our shows, probably 2/3 of them, we've had to speak the praises of Caleb Flora. This is his old man sitting right here, and Caleb, you know, is
a legend in his own lunchtime.
Yep, so legendary. The show that was dedicated to him couldn't even take off.
Well, I think the legend actually preceded it, and he got out legend himself.
You really can't have one without the other. You know, so we got Chris and Simon here, and they've been kind of interchanging as in the co-host chair the last couple of weeks, making solid
some
arguments
waves
for both of them here. I don't know. You know, Simon,
Simon brings to the table is a deep knowledge of you name it, he's got
Simon's
it.
Like the
accent.
Earnhardt, and he's the Jeff Gordon over here. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute. Who are you calling Jeff Gordon?
Hey,
Simon would be the Jeff Gordon.
No.
I'm the Earnhardt, the greatest of all times, and he's just the young rookie, even though he is
the oldest kid in the room.
He's old enough to be my dad. I mean,
son.
You know.
I
got more years under my belt in the county than he does. So
yes, he
I
certainly
would be the
does.
Earnhardt.
Well, I guess if we're comparing it like that, then that would make me Richard Petty. So,
no, you'd be more like Bubba Wallace.
Touche, Chris. Oh, the worm has turned.
How's it feel to be ganged up on,
It
Billy?
don't make me no difference. I go back through and edit all of that. So.
Actually, that's the only unfortunate thing about that is he has the edit key.
He does, don't he?
The master key.
The master key.
I sure do. So yeah, we got we're down here at the Moonshine Heritage Festival. I'm sober today. I've actually decided not to drink anything. I might have one beer or two. Just driving out of a moonshine festival in Franklin County. I know Johnny Law's going to be sitting up there somewhere, and that's just all I need.
I have a designated driver,
I
so
don't. My designated driver is probably going to leave before I do, and even if she does,
well, you're actually my Plan B designated driver,
Well, there
so
you
I've
go.
got two designated
there you
drivers.
go. So if your wife needs to take on out of here,
Well, I mean, if worse comes
I've
to
actually,
worse,
you're my Plan C
I was going
designated
to say, I'll
driver.
be your plan C, D, E, and F.
Oh,
We go
I love
through the
it.
alphabet. I mean, I'll pack y'all in
seems
my
more like I'm a
minivan.
Plan B guy, but I don't know.
I had a bit of a hard night last night, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah, I was down at Marvin Webb's farm burning down an old farm that collapsed in that big blow.
Yeah.
So we were been burning it, and inevitably, moonshine came out and was passed around, and I'm actually suffering some injuries from it.
What'd you do? Burn
Drank too
yourself?
much moonshine.
Oh, okay.
You're in
Yeah.
a good place today, I suppose.
Oh, it was great. All the old timers were there.
Hey,
You know, around a fire in the
Yeah.
middle of a field at, close to
I
midnight.
guess we all got a backup, and although I'm not drinking, you said Johnny Law was probably going to be at the end of the road, but we got Henry Law down here too. So
Yeah, well, which is probably why Johnny Law will be at the end of the road. So, I mean, yeah, we got Henry down here, got a couple other cool people we're going to try and bring on here and talk to. I just want to get some introductions and stuff out of the way and just kind of let you know where we're coming from. A few things of note. Patreon.com/GetOnTap is where you can go to subscribe. You can get episodes early. You can get episodes in full length. We're also going to try and start getting that 45-minute, 1 hour a week show going a little bit more regularly. But at the least you're supporting us. Patreon.com/GetOnTap because we're putting it right back in the community. We're coming down here doing stuff like this. This equipment, it breaks. You got to buy a new one. I just had to buy 3 new mics for a big event we got coming up here in the near future with Spike Cohen. We're going to be sending out the invites hopefully this week. We'll be doing a big event at the Early Inn Pavilion on Tuesday, May 23rd. I believe that's the day.
I believe this is 22nd or 23rd. Something like that. Yeah.
It's
20. I believe it's 22nd.
Tuesday the 22nd.
Yeah.
Or no, I think it's Tuesday the 23rd and Wednesday the 24th. So the 23rd on Tuesday, we're going to be doing a big event down at the Early Inn. I think we got panhandling artist Josh Grice is going to come play a little bit of music for us.
Panhandling.
Listen. I mean, I'm sticking up for Josh every single time here. I've got great admiration for the man. He's a performer, fantastic musician.
Yeah, on the mic.
original. He's the whole package.
And he's free. So thank you.
Oh, bless you,
Yeah.
Josh.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say he owes me one, but I do use his band's music coming in and out of here. So, but I let him know. I said, look, if this event kicks off well, like I think it should, we're going to be doing more and more of these, and then next go around we'll have money to really pay people. And
Now we got Jerry Wimmer coming on here, hopefully a little bit later.
Is
as
he
well.
really?
Yeah, I already collared him, and we've got a great story to tell. Actually, that happened on the lake. If it wasn't last year, it was the year before, and it was wow. It's a good one.
I got some good stories about his music days about 20 years ago that you'll like to hear
I'm not
about.
quite sure we should be bringing those up. With
Oh,
the
yes,
PG-13
you know why we're
audience.
going to bring him up, because Amos Denton should be here today, and Amos Denton is not, and some of these stories include him.
That's not going to be good then.
So, there's a great crowd here. Be on the lookout for this Spike Cohen event coming up, and then we're going to be doing a big show up on the mountain the next day, a podcast. We'll have a lot of fun with that one. So, big shout out to Rocky Mount Burger Company, Brian and them down there for all they do for us. Buddy's Barbecue is going to be chipping in up there for that event. Melvin's Farm to Fork, Foggy Ridge, Blackwater Custom.
Woodwork.
Yep. I mean, it's a big community thing. Pruitt Brothers Construction, the guys from Being Libertarian, Safe Side Tacticals coming in.
Well, Josh being a very
and
strong
Josh Grice and
libertarian.
the Harwell Grice band.
Strong libertarian.
Who's a strong libertarian?
Josh Grice.
I'm gonna throw a punch out there. You said Blackwater Custom Woodwork. It probably ought to be like Blackwater Custom Peddling. I was talking to him the other day, and he said that it generally takes him like a year to get a house built. And the crew that he's got, I mean, that's just piddling. There's no other way. I mean, you should be able to get in there and bam, 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 even though it is custom.
He built my in-laws' house, and to say that is a custom house is man.
But was it like get her done, or was it like piddling?
Oh no, he was to the wall.
Okay. Well, I seen half the projects he had going on up there when we did the 100th episode, and it looked like he was doing a whole lot of piddling.
Oh no, he's no piddler.
Okay.
That's too much on the plate is what that is. Taking too many. He still needs to come help me finish my damn railing. I'm going to keep on riding him about
I'll
that.
keep riding him.
Yeah.
Do it on air. Do it live. Oh, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, so great crowd down here. Be on the lookout for that event. Other ways you can support us as well. Cash App and Venmo are both Get On Tap, and then PayPal's WB Riddle one-time donation, helping us out, helping us equipment. Like I said, it's always breaking down whenever you get new stuff. So we're down here today. I'm looking forward to this. Looking forward to talking to some people and having a good time. Don't know who we're going to get on the mic, but I'm sure.
My wife is sidling up very close to you.
Hey, Billy, right quick, can you stick that mic right next to your seat, stand up, and sit back down?
No.
Somebody at some point in time has put a squeaky toy in his seat.
Have they really?
So every time he
that's funny.
stands up and sits down and goes squeak.
Yeah, this is dirty antics that happens around the lake.
You're our first guest. Turn your mic on.
Turn your mic on.
I don't think you need one.
What am I guessing? Check, baby, check.
Uh-oh.
Check.
There she is.
1, 2, 3. Uh-huh.
So, joining us is Heather Winch.
I need to go bring my wife and stroller down here real quick. So y'all talk some amongst
Oh, so now, you're leaving us to it. Oh, thank you, Billy.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah,
Y'all can say whatever you want. I don't go back and listen to them anyway. So y'all can.
Oh, well, no, we want to hear your seat squeak. You know, it's going to squeak when he sits back in it.
He's going to forget about it. He's going to forget about it. Everything's going to go good.
Look at him. Look, he's.
Get that belly.
What do you call that? He was the limbo dancing underneath the mic stands.
So,
Crazy. Oh, and here they come.
Oh, yeah, here they
Tara. Oh,
There's my
Claire and Benjamin.
So, Heather,
Yes.
what's it like living with Elmer Fudd?
I had to spell that how many times? And he
Hey,
still
I was
didn't get
also
it right?
corrected 3 times by those bastards at Google.
Yeah,
Sorry,
well, we're
bad
still not
language.
sure you understand. But anyway, what's it like
Yes.
living with?
With Elmer Fudd.
Well, he's not Elmer Fudd. He's not.
He's not.
No, he's not Elmer Fudd.
You didn't have
Although he did, when we first moved into the house, wanted to go out and shoot a skunk, and Charlotte had to stop him from shooting a skunk because he had no idea what it was.
We ain't got skunks in England. I'm
He,
not.
he had a shotgun in his hand, and he saw a critter, and he was going to shoot it. And I said, when Charlotte's going, no, don't shoot that.
do
worst mistake
that.
ever with a
Yes,
shotgun.
yeah. He just was ready to take him on, but no.
Cool fact, though. If you hit a skunk in the head, they will not stink. They will not spray. No joke.
Well, that's a brain thing.
If
The brain doesn't send the signal to his...
That's exactly right. If you have skunk problems and you're getting rid of them, you shoot them in the head, and they will not spray. They will lay there until something comes through and picks them up, but they will not spray.
Well, one of our dogs, in fact, both of our dogs,
Over the past couple months,
we've got a skunk kicking
saying
around,
hi.
and they have been hit several times, and it's on the verge of pissing me off.
If you could take that coyote out, you might wouldn't have any skunk problems. Another cool fact: did you know that when a coyote goes into hunt mode, that they will actually find a skunk and fight with them?
Ooh.
And the skunk will spray them. It covers their scent because when they're out rabbit hunting and hunting other animals, they tend not to pay attention to the skunk smell, but they do the coyote smell.
I don't doubt it, because coyotes, as much as I despise them, they are very intelligent.
They're very
They are.
wily.
And did you know that
Did you like that?
Did you know that we actually train coyotes? So farmers, they do it
That's it.
unintentionally.
You can actually, you're right.
train
You could
them.
probably actually train them. you can direct them.
So my uncle had a farm not far from here, and we would go in at night, and you could hear the coyotes yipping, and we'd start the tractor up to roll hay out, and they'd get real quiet.
They'd figure. What were they figuring?
Well, they knew that there was something. There was a time that we were feeding, and they would get real quiet, and then as soon as we shut the tractor off, and they heard the trucks fire up to go up out of the driveway, they would start talking again. Like, okay, it's all clear. Yeah.
So start up the tractor, that would quiet them down.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there it
Just
is.
working. There we go. Did everyone hear that squeak?
Yeah.
Hang on,
Whoopee cushion? Is there a whoopee cushion?
So what are we talking about? What are we going to be talking about?
Well, we're back here now. So that was Heather, Simon's wife. I don't really know what y'all talked about. I ran up here and grabbed the...
She promised us a picture of Simon.
No, she did not.
Yes, she did.
She's already feeding you pictures. I don't know who's playing this little game of getting the most indiscreet pictures out of her, and she's sending them and cooperating.
Can't believe that's your wife to start with, but she's an awful good-looking woman for a man like you.
I tell you, what a winner, chicken dinner.
We all tend to agree with you. Now we're all kind of baffled.
How did you get her to say yes?
I believe it was curry and rum.
Uh-oh. I might have to go dance with my daughter.
Well, what have we got going here? Listen, I've got the infamous Henry Lee Law sat next to me.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going to happen with all that because, you're a little bit on the wild side, man.
Well, I think we both are.
I've heard that a few times. We're having a good time anyway, right?
Indeed. I think we've got the better of the weather now. We're hearing some great bluegrass. I think the moonshine is flowing. Certainly is up there. I know there's people hitting it pretty hard in the bar.
I heard you could play a few instruments.
Can't play instruments. Well, actually, no. In fairness, I can play instruments. Haven't played for a while.
Been playing for a while. I'm a back porch picker myself.
Oh, right. There we go.
Never got good enough to play on the front porch.
Yeah, that was it. Back porch.
Maybe someday.
I gave my Martin guitar, and I sent it FedEx all the way down to New Zealand for my brother.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and it's a beautiful Martin
guitar.
That's what I got,
Martin.
Yeah,
Martins.
And I thought, I was doing it a great injustice by not playing it when my brother's actually a fairly accomplished musician.
That's cool.
So I thought, you know what, it would be better in his hands. So
this event, it didn't turn out as bad as I thought. All the rain we were getting, it could have been better. But
that rain did hit early on, but I think there's going to be a good few people coming to spend the latter part of the afternoon here as well.
I've had a good time. I've had a great time today.
So, tell me what you've been doing. You've obviously been promoting
everything.
Your products.
Yeah, my products, my Laws Choice.
The cultural aspect of Appalachia, and we love it.
That's what
we
it's all
embrace
about.
it.
It's all it's all about. We got our brand, our liquor and all, but it all goes back to the actual culture, like you're saying. The families, how they were fed, and what they had to do to make a living, and a lot of it came down to moonshine. And of course, the government put taxes on it and demanded to be paid for it, and everybody bucked on that.
Isn't that the greatest irony that the Revolutionary War, which I call the first Civil War, because it really was.
All about taxes.
Was all about taxes, and
right.
Quite right. And don't get me wrong, I am not siding with George III. He was an absolute certified lunatic.
You sound a whole lot like him.
Well, I may do, but I'm not. I mean, the man was a complete lunatic, along with the Prime Minister at the time. So between the two of them, they should have been locked up and put in a padded cell, and just had the key should have been thrown away. And perhaps history would have reflected on that era a little more kindly.
Can you imagine all those guys that turned against England and for this country and carried the death penalty?
Oh, absolutely. That to me was one of the greatest commitments that you can do.
Possible, yeah.
Knowing that you will be hung or shot for treason, by signing a paper document.
And they did it anyway.
And they did it anyway. And they did it very boldly.
And they were all very young. Let's not forget, they were like in their early 20s, many of them were. And we got, early 20s kids these days still,
They don't get it. They're not taught it.
President until you're 40.
35.
Yeah.
35.
Well, they're not taught the history. But the irony is that after the Revolutionary War, I think
the taxes on moonshine.
the taxes on
Paid for the
moonshine
war.
pretty much paid for the war. You saw a lot of the Scots-Irish coming down. Now then, you've got the French out of the northern areas coming down and being kicked all the way down through into Louisiana. But the Scots-Irish are still incredibly strong in Appalachia. And it was all about whiskey.
It's all about whiskey. I'm telling you, if it hadn't been for moonshine, like here in Franklin County, a lot of people don't understand, 95% of the liquor we made went out of the county. And the money came back.
That's export. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
And
For cash
came back.
money.
Yeah, cash money.
Cash money. No taxes.
And it came right back
That's
to this
how to
county.
do it.
And that's how you fed the families, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And, all of a sudden they decided to come in and stop it again, and here we are.
Well, I mean, Prohibition, that to me was one of the most comedic acts that the House ever passed. I mean, I'd love to know your opinion on it.
I agree.
It baffles me that they would outlaw liquor because that set a wheel in motion with so many negative aspects.
Yeah, but so much came into the states because of that.
Oh, absolutely.
So much crime followed.
Uh-huh.
That was a bad part.
Yeah, it was, and there was the negative side of it. If it had been done, well, I mean, I just see how ABC operates now as well. I'm not a big fan of the ABC stores. I don't think they should have any.
Well,
licensing.
when you think about the crime coming in, well, you gotta figure out if you're putting the cart before the horse, because if it wasn't illegal in the first place and you could just make it, then capitalism, at the end of the day, whoever's got the best is going to make the most amount of money. When you criminalize it, well, then you start boxing in the amount of people who make it. Well, just by sheer numbers, when somebody knows who's making it, well, they know they probably got cash on them. So they're going to mess with y'all more often. So you got the law coming in on one side, and you got other people coming in.
The revenue
and when you all fire back and you don't put up with their crap, then they say, "Oh, well, there's the crime." Well, the crime wouldn't be here if they didn't put y'all in a box in the first place.
And, there's a lot of money made, but there was a lot of bad to the moonshine industry. The shootouts, the killings, and a lot of people today, when it comes to drinking, I mean, there's a lot of people are against it, and I can't blame them. A lot of people can't handle it. The family's been destroyed by it, but you got to drink responsibly, and that's what we try to tell everybody. The Laws Choice, whatever, you drink responsibly. You can't be out here drinking and run up down the damn road.
No, you can't be doing that. I mean, winding down with a couple of glasses is absolutely acceptable. I mean, I'm I'm the guy that does that. But as soon as you put yourself behind a wheel, you can't do that.
The bad part about everything that came down with the illegal part of moonshine was the amount of time that they was handing out. I mean, it carried, like last time my dad was arrested, he was facing 60 years. A lot of people think that you get a moonshine charge.
How much?
60 years.
60 years for running moonshine.
Yeah. Well, everybody thinks it's one charge. It's not one charge. They throw about 10 charges on it. It's possession of illegal whiskey. It's possession of raw materials. It's transportation. It's crossing state line. It ends up about 5 to 10 charges and 5 years on each charge. They run it up real quick on it, and that's a lot of time just for what we consider tax evasion. That's really all it was. It wasn't paying a tax on it, but the government started painting this picture. They even started calling it drugs at one time to try to turn it public.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Against the moonshiners. Even as far as like you hear words about jerking radiators out of cars and stuff. Nobody ever did that stuff. Back years ago, radiators were used, but they were brand new radiators, brand new solid copper radiators. But the government painted a picture that they just jerking them out of cars with
antifreeze in them and all that nonsense.
Right, exactly. And putting
that's the propaganda that they love to put out anyway.
Well, back during the Prohibition times, they were telling people that the bootleg was poison and it was killing people and stuff. And what was going on is the government was poisoning it, and then people were dying and they were blaming it on the moonshiners and the hollers, so you wouldn't buy their stuff.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
if you had bad moonshine, you couldn't sell it, right?
Why would you want to kill your customer?
Exactly.
If you've got the tops and the tails, which I believe is a technical expression, if you start throwing that in your moonshine, well, the results are going to be you ain't going to sell too much moonshine.
Well, we sold thousands of gallons of it a month after month, year after year, was producing a good product, and that's what it takes.
That's absolutely. It's all about quality.
How long would you be in business?
With quality, you want to have quantity.
Yeah, quantity, right. A lot of people talk about, well, it changed, after say 35 after Prohibition, but Jack Daniel's got bigger. That doesn't mean the liquor is bad. Same with here, we got bigger, but the liquor was still good. And a lot of people say, well, it wasn't as good. Well, you know what? We sold millions of gallons of it, and people don't drink that much liquor if it's not good.
Yeah.
What was your take on the film Lawless?
It was pretty cool. I really liked it.
I know I really enjoyed it, but do you think? I mean, I understand that the Bondurants and the shootout actually happened in Boone's Mill by the old railroad station.
It was actually a shooting.
Oh, a shooting. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got all the transcripts from the cases back then.
Oh, share it with us.
Well, the Bondurants were paying the granny fee, and they came up to this bridge. They'd already paid these damn cops. They came up to the bridge to, supposed to be turned free to let go, and they wanted more money. The Bondurants refused to pay it, and they shot the Bondurants. They didn't have a chance to shoot back. They shot the two of them, and that was pretty much the end of it. Then the indictments came down. They arrested one of my ancestors from up at Ferrum, from my grandmother's, from my mother's side of the family. It was about 15 to 20. It's hundreds of them pulled in to the grand jury to testify all over the county, but there was only about 7 or 8 that was actually indicted. And then everybody was found guilty except Carter Lee, who was the prosecuting attorney, and I think one of the sheriff, maybe. Well, he wasn't indicted. There was a couple of them weren't indicted. Even the guys that were sent here, the Prohibition guys that were sent here to stop the moonshine, they were on the take. You had to pay the granny fee to get by. If you didn't pay the granny fee, they would cut you up. So they had a whole lot of confrontation through that because some people didn't want to pay it. Most of them was paying it. The ones that paid it, supposed it was cool. But then the feds came in and got undercover guy here and started indicting everybody. And it was a big thing, man. They arrested just about everybody in the county.
Because now Billy and I ended up at the social place,
house.
The social house, right by the courthouse in Rocky Mount, and we were shown where the place burnt down. The cars that were fully loaded with shine collapsed through the floor and in the basement, and they're still there to this day. And that to me was, if that's not Franklin County history, I don't know what is.
They had the cars. They had the cars with they put steel plates over the tires so they couldn't shoot the tires out. And they had a lady. A lady was a pilot, Willie. What was her? Willie Carter.
Carter Sharp.
Yeah, she was.
I was getting ready to ask you, could you tell me, because I've been to the Franklin County Historical Society a couple of times trying to get a little bit of information about her, and there's just not much to get. Like, apparently her family's got some, but I don't know if they want to come off of it.
They say she was a real good-looking woman, and I don't know if there's any hanky-panky going on between her and some of the officers and stuff, but she was piloting these cars through Franklin County. Sometimes it'd be 10 or 15 cars loaded of liquor, and they would guarantee them to the county line. After that, you was on your own. Right. And she ended up testifying against all of them. She ended up testifying against just about everybody on it.
Yeah, they said back in the day, she was one of the most badass runners around. Like, when it come to running the stuff.
Fantastic. And the fact that they were loaded, the 3 cars that got in that fire in the old sugar warehouse, next to the courthouse, next to the sheriff's office. I mean, you've just got to laugh your arse off, because the irony behind that, it's right under their noses.
Well, probably because most of them, if you're that close, you probably know you got that kind of protection too.
Exactly. They had a convict guy I was reading in those transcripts that was arrested. He refused to pay the granny fee and all, and he had a problem with Carter Lee, who was a prosecuting attorney. And Carter Lee was coming down on him, and he locked him up for something. And this guy accused him of trying to poison him. The food, he was saying, had something on the tray, and they were trying to kill him. So he ended up escaping. He escaped.
Probably coolant.
He escaped, and they was on the sideboard of these old Model A cars. I mean, they were shooting and carrying on. It was a big damn shootout on escapement. He wouldn't turn himself in to the locals. That's who brought the feds in. He decided he wanted to turn himself into the feds because he thought they was going to kill him, which they probably would have. But that's how when the feds came in, he brought them in. That kind of guy.
I mean, this history, it cannot die. It's so rich.
Well, when it comes to moonshine, the Moonshine Heritage and the festival, for me, a lot of it is that rebel spirit. You know what I mean? Like, I think the coal miners in Southwest Virginia have got that same thing. You know, when the law comes snooping around and overstepping their bounds, they're not afraid, you know, to do what they have to do to make it. And I think that's, you know, maybe that's why me and my wife get along so well. She's from coal country. But, you know, and I know Henry, and if you hadn't read your book yet,
I've still got your copy, by the way.
It's a great read. Like, go out there and get you a copy of that. It's phenomenal history. My grandpa's in that book 2 or 3 times.
Billy's grandpa, he ran the hell out of us. He was tough. He was tough. I'm telling you.
That's what everyone says. And now I'm looking at Billy, who's, I'm not going to say it on a live podcast, but yeah, they're just guidelines, right? Just guidelines.
They had one guy that was in the back in the conspiracy thing. And he was a deputy, and this black guy had committed some kind of crime up in Callaway, and he goes to pick him up, bring him back. He didn't make it far out coming out of Callaway, and they had they were waiting on him. They were waiting on him because he was supposed to testify to grand jury.
Oh.
Well, this poor black guy got hung up in the whole thing, and he got riddled with bullets, killed them both. And this guy's innocent of anything. And
Just
he
an
just
innocent bystander.
He happened to be in the car and killed him.
So what year was this?
That was back in the 30s.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question for you, because the time you were going through and the time you were doing your stuff and the 30s were probably the two most prominent times when you think about history and the stories and everything. Which time and I know you, just from your recollections and the stories you've heard, which time period do you think was more dangerous to be in the business?
But back then, when you got to law, and the law's saying you make liquor for me, now you pay me, and you don't get, if you don't, then this is going to happen, that's going to happen. How can you possibly fight that when the law is on the take?
When they're on the take, that means you're in the loop.
Even the prohibition guys that was here, that's supposed to be here to stop it, they're on the take. They're all getting paid. You can't fight that.
No,
you can't fight that.
No, you're playing a very dangerous game at that point, because the fox is in the chicken coop at that point.
During our period of time, like your grandpa and all, these guys, you couldn't pay them off. We never attempted to pay them off. And now some of them would overlook stuff from time to time, but we didn't have to worry about them falsifying stuff. We didn't have to worry about them lying on us. You know, like Riddle, if he didn't catch us, he'd let you go. He wanted to catch you. That's the kind of man he was.
Right. Catch you red-handed.
Catch you red-handed. He wanted to run you down. He chased my dad a couple times, and he come to my house one time and told my dad, "I'm going to catch you, Amos." Dad said, "I don't think so."
You can try. You can try.
And that's something really fascinating, once again, about the book.
But that's a gentleman's agreement there, right?
Well,
you know what I mean?
They won't swear to you unless they catch you. They can see you there on site. They can be within reaching distance of you, but if they don't take you back in handcuffs and you get away, and your strategies talking in the book, talking about running uphill and not running back downhill, because you knew the catch man would be waiting for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And never run unless they're running. That way, you know, smart stuff like that. I mean, the book is you gotta read it. I mean, but back then, like you said, the gentleman's agreement was a little bit different. If they wouldn't go into court and ruin your life unless they could haul you in handcuffs, and you don't get that today, and clearly you didn't get it back then. So,
well, say like Riddle, you know, your grandpa. If he had his hands on you, the rule was an unwritten rule. I could do whatever I wanted to do to get away, but I couldn't raise my hand to him. If I raised my hand to him, whole different ball game then. But if he grabbed you, you could scratch around, fumble around, push, whatever, and if you got away, you was away. But if you raised your hand to one of them, all hell broke loose, man, because they had the whole army coming.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of dig that as well. That's I'm trying to figure out how to describe that, but that
well, that's respect.
Yeah, I think there's a mutual respect there. That's a mutual respect.
And that's what I was telling somebody here a few minutes ago. When they raided our steel sites, they knew that we didn't have guns. They knew we didn't have guns there. They knew there was no drugs there. They knew that we were there to make money for the family. Now, one time they raided one of Daddy's steel sites, and Kenny's daddy was there, and it was at nighttime. They was using wood. And Peanut, he scared the hell out of it. He had a flashlight in his hand. When the officer jumped out behind a tree, he hits the officer with the flashlight.
Oops.
Just out of just
reflex.
Yeah. They whipped the shit out of him. They beat that poor man.
Yeah, those reflex reactions can bite you in the arse every now and again.
And they sent word to Daddy. They said, "Amos, you know, we're not going to put up with this kind of crap. You know, you're not going to put up with it." Daddy said, "You know, hey, just like you said, reflexes. But you don't raise your hand to them." And I've had them up. They've had me up.
You know what? That's fair enough.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if we're playing the game, because it's all about revenue at the end of the day, and they're all human beings as well.
They've had me up against the steels with their arms around my neck, and we'd be scratching, scrounging, fighting around, and I break free, and I get home later that afternoon. My elbows would be bruised up, and they knew who I was. They knew who I was, but they wanted to catch me.
They had to catch you and detain you.
Yeah.
And that's the cool way of doing it. But those days are long gone.
Long gone.
Yeah, the last time I came across a lawman like that, I'm going to say was in 2004, 2005, because we got on some motorcycles and left out of Roanoke. We were going about $120 up 81, heading for JMU to party with some ladies that night. And I guess there was a trooper chasing us about 15 miles, and we just happened to slow down in this one straightaway for whatever reason, about 80. And about that moment, we pass a state trooper, and the second we see him, he throws it into gear. I said, he's waiting for us. He's been waiting for us. So at that point in time, we done slowed down. We planned on running if something like this happened, but we'd already done made it to Lexington. I'm saying we made it to Lexington like 20 minutes from Tanglewood. I mean, we were flat out balling. And but we didn't know the roads anymore up there. It was nighttime. I really wasn't interested in going and killing myself just to get away. I'll just take my lick. So we pulled over. Next thing you know, there's 2 or 3 state troopers pulled in behind us. So they really were after us. The guy, it just gives us a little bit of a chewing out or whatever, and he says, I'm not going to write you a ticket, and I'm not going to let my buddy here write you a ticket for 80 and a 65 because this was my chase and this was my catch, and I didn't catch you. So, but he was running 130 and couldn't catch us.
I'm telling you, man, when you talk about running from a law like that, it's an adrenaline that's almost hard to explain.
You can't explain it.
When a man gets his arms around you, neck, and you are scratching, and you break free, and you get out in the woods, you'd be lost $5,000, $6,000, but you got away.
You got away,
man. It's a rush when another man grabs your ass and tries to bulldog you into the ground.
I've got a chase story of my own that I'll do another time. But there were dogs, there were various car patrols,
helicopters.
There was a helicopter involved.
You look familiar. You tell me again. Look familiar to me. We pulled time together in Connecticut, didn't we?
But I actually got away, and I tell you what, the pair of us were so famous in the rugby club, and then my uncle was actually a police officer with the SPG, the Special Patrol Group.
Oh, corrupt! Y'all was all corrupt.
And he knew, and he called me up and he said, "Simon," he goes, "you were in that GAP." I said, "What do you mean a GAP?" He goes, "That ground and air pursuit last weekend." And I went, what are you talking about, Uncle Sean? He goes, "I know it was you." I said, "Yeah, you're absolutely right. I did it. It was us." He goes, "The only reason you got away with it is because the infrared camera wasn't working on the chopper." I went, "Well, there you go. You got to keep your stuff serviced."
But
he probably cut it off.
You're leaving out one of the best parts.
Oh, I've got lots of those. Yeah, but that's a big story. I mean, I could go on for half an hour on that one because I was so drunk.
You've got to let the listeners understand why this was one of the most famous chases that got away. What did you actually break into to hide from the law?
Oh, we broke. I wouldn't say we broke into it. We mistakenly crossed the boundary of the Metropolitan horse stables on Epsom Downs.
They were hiding from the law inside the horse stables of the law.
But we were absolutely legless, it has to be said. I mean, you could barely stand up. But
your uncle got you off pretty much.
Well, he didn't get us off, but he knew it was me that was involved. And yeah, it was...
Well, they figured out that pretty quick once they found the vehicle and run the tags, right?
Well, yeah. But then it was...
But they couldn't prove who was driving.
They couldn't prove who was driving. It was a thing of beauty. I got many a beer bought for me on the basis of that over the last year in that rugby club. It was great. "You're the guy who had the GAP." I went, "Oh, yeah. Here's another beer." "Oh, okay."
Guys, I hate to cut y'all off, but I'm going to have to run. I got to run.
Right on, Henry. It's a pleasure every time,
It's
my man.
a pleasure.
Hey, we'll see you here at the end of May. I'll give you some more details on that.
Exactly.
Want to bring Spike by the Still site, but if you want to come jump on that show with us, man, there's going to be a lot of people listening to it.
Yeah.
And I think with your stories,
I like to get on. I like to get on early, if we could get on early with it.
That'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll be up there. Buddy's going to be up there flipping some burgers and stuff. We're going Safe Side Tactical's coming by. They're bringing some automatic toys, so we're going to fire the cannon, shoot some guns.
Can y'all actually have guns and cannons? I know you're convicted.
I've got a cannon. I am the guy with a cannon.
He's got a real working cannon.
That makes me nervous right there.
It should.
We're gonna put a rabbit in it and see how far we can blow that sucker.
Go a long way.
I appreciate y'all. a
No,
lot.
Bless you,
appreciate
Henry.
y'all be in touch with you.
Remember now, get some Laws Choice.
Get Laws Choice. Get
Exactly.
it. Get some.
Get some.
Right on, mate. Cheers. Your dirty tricks.
No, he's not on record. You just turned it on, didn't you?
I know your dirty tricks. I know what you're
just
doing.
watched him press the button.
That's okay. I'm just checking.
Huh? Okay.
You know, I know the lack of professionalism here.
Okay. But I think what we really wanted to talk about with this next person is she said that if it wasn't for her, this podcast probably wouldn't have went nowhere.
I never said that.
There, you see that?
Well, that's completely contradicting Simon's own big head because Simon always tells me if it wasn't for him, it wouldn't have went anywhere. So.
I never said that.
Oh, you say it with your look, Simon.
I never say it.
I've never said it, but the stats prove it.
Yeah, I mean we had a pretty decent. I mean we had a fun thing going, but when Simon come on board, all of a sudden everything just kind of went in a whole crazy different direction. I think it's the accent.
So y'all had to bring somebody.
I thought it was a good look, personally.
Well, that's why we don't do video.
Hey, Simon,
Well, that's about to change.
Simon, you haven't done your cultural appropriation yet.
I'm culturally appropriating the Turks and Caicos Islands today.
Okay. Oh, you're wearing it.
Read it closer.
I am a grumpy old prick. Oh. What did it say about chaos?
We ain't got time for you to take a reading lesson. We're trying to do a show here.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
for
can't-
goodness.
I can't
You
read
are
French.
recording now, aren't you?
I've been recording for a few minutes now.
Just read that a little bit closer. Out loud.
I'm good. I'm good.
So anyway, we just had Henry Law on, and I always sit down and love talking to him because the stories. I mean, he's just
He's an encyclopedia of stories.
and his distaste for the government that you can always just kind of feel.
Oh, it's an
from
underlying
him.
current, isn't
why
it?
I
It's an
enjoy sitting down.
undercurrent.
Listening to Henry Law is a lot like listening to is a lot like listening to somebody that is just, you know, aged. It's got a
There's
comfortable
wisdom
feel
there.
I was
to
going to
it.
say,
Yeah.
you're calling him wise.
There is a wisdom
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's got a few years on his belt, but I mean, it just makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside, kind of like his products. There you go.
And they're now legal.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Well,
That was a funny thing, actually. I caught, I think it was just before Christmas. I happened to be going into an ABC store, which is very uncharacteristic, I had. And in the back of the ABC store in Rocky Mount, I spied the familiar hat of Henry Lee. So I sneak up behind him, and he's there signing bottles, his Law liquor, whichever one it is. I said, well, a little bit intrigued about this, Henry Lee. You're in an ABC store signing your moonshine product. I said, the irony is not lost here. And he just, yeah.
you know, not to jump off course, but for one quick second, why don't we have a drink named after us yet, Simon? Is this a plea to Jim and Rob there? We need a bottle. We need something chaos. They bottle. We need an English ale.
Well, that
Appalachian Mountain Ale.
I need to. I've got to talk about that a little bit there.
English ale.
The English ale that was relabeled from the old ESB Extra Special Bitter that was produced by Living Proof and were relabeled English ale was so spectacular when we did the podcast at Living Proof. Not the what show did we do there recently? The
We didn't do
trivia
a show.
night.
We did
the
trivia night,
We
but
did
that
the
wasn't
trivia night,
recorded.
but that wasn't recorded. And I haven't seen the English ale there lately. Now, your relationship with Josh Grice, I'm about to have a very similar relationship with Living Proof. Until they get that English ale back there, there's going to be some harsh words. So, Jim, and it's Rob, get that English ale back on. It's nectar of the gods.
Maybe I should probably name it the Simon Ale or something. The Simon Winch Ale. Or,
What ails you? That
Well-
Simon ale.
well,
There you go.
I mean, I
It's
guess
the cure-all.
I guess the FDA legally allows you to have a very, very small percentage of feces in there. So just go out in the field somewhere, get some bullshit, drop it in there, and then it becomes a Simon Winch English
Oh,
ale.
for goodness sake. Here, I mean, this is just coming back full circle again. I mean, this is about divisiveness, Billy.
Hey, Billy, his wife did not like us talking and calling him Elmer Fudd.
Elmer.
Elmer.
He spells it like he pronounces it.
No.
Elmer Fudd.
Well,
ELMA. Elmer.
unfortunately, I'm gonna hold Google accountable to that, because those bastards were the ones that kept spell checking me and also correcting me. And every time I hit it, I'm just like, "Heck, that's not what I wrote."
It's
That's
probably
not what I wrote.
because you've typed in Elma so many times instead of Elmer.
Man, here we go.
Google automatically picks up on what you're trying to spell.
I mean, yeah, they're not mind readers.
But hey, let's get back on track. Let's talk to our guest that actually got this podcast started.
Oh, Jesus.
They got the festival started for sure.
Oh yeah.
Sandra, welcome back. Good to see you again, and we appreciate you including us in this dreary yet festive event. It looks like it's starting to pick up now. The sun's back out.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for being here. Good to be back on.
One of Roanoke's 40 under 40. Do you know why Simon didn't get nominated for one of Roanoke's 40 under 40?
I do not.
Well, because he's about 19 years over the eligibility requirements. Simon,
This
you
is
might-
still a
you-
PG-13 show, right? But
Yeah.
you can read my lips.
You might be what's a good F word that goes with 50s? You might be a fairy 50 or something.
Flagellant.
A fuddy-duddy.
Most of those are on. Their stocks are going down, but yours is going up though.
How do I do that?
Looks like you're doing it now.
I'm trying.
So we need to go video so everybody can see your.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
God. Thank goodness Heather didn't have a video of me charging out trying to whack that darn coyote.
So
Got a
Sandra,
little
what gave
blue.
you? Let's shut up, y'all two. We are getting way off. We are getting way off. Listen to y'all. That's alcohol talking. I stayed sober
No,
today.
it is not alcohol talking. I have yet to have any alcohol.
As he winks.
Oh, I beg to differ.
Oof.
Actually, no, it was the merest of sips. I mean, it was more of a...
Oh, first only a few sips, and I won't. Oh, no,
Oh, there's an empty one for
that's
Billy.
empty. That was yours.
Pathetic.
I think you took quite a few sips.
No, that was the fellow that was sitting here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, what brought this whole thing together?
The Moonshine Heritage Festival?
Yes.
Well, so this event has been held at Crazy Horse Marina. I believe this is the third year. However, due to my relationship with Franklin County and the town of Rocky Mount, Franklin County Tourism invited me on a phone call for a really cool project that's getting ready to happen between Franklin County, Floyd County, and Patrick County. And we're also trying to onboard Pittsylvania County and Henry County for the Moonshine Heritage Trail, which is going to be very similar to the Crooked Road Music Trail, but with moonshine. And
Right on.
yeah, it's going to be really interesting. This was supposed to be the cornerstone pinnacle to that event launching, but you know the counties are not ready yet, so we're going to look at doing that next year. So this year it's still the Franklin County Moonshine Heritage Festival. Next year, potentially, it will end up being the Virginia Moonshine Heritage Festival.
Well, so is it going to be like one of those deals where they, map out the distilleries and stuff and make it? Because if anybody's ever been up to Nelson County and Augusta County, they kind of come together on the 151 up there. You go from, essentially, you go over Patrick Henry Highway and you come over the mountain. At the bottom there, you're at Devil's Backbone Outpost. And after Devil's Backbone Outpost, you get to like Wild Wolf, you get to Blue Mountain. But there ends up being about 15 to 20 either distilleries, wineries, or breweries up and down that highway from, the Devil's Backbone Outpost all the way to Waynesboro, essentially. And it's awesome. You know what I mean? Like it's in the middle of nowhere. You wouldn't, you would expect like a Vegas Strip kind of deal when it comes to that, but it's really nothing out there. A couple of stores and then nothing but alcohol for like 17 straight miles. It's glorious. So if it's going to be something like that, that's really, really cool. That way people, they'll come make the trek. They'll have it already mapped out. They can go down to, see Tim Smith. I guess he's down in Climax,
Right.
Pennsylvania County. Come
And-
up here and see Henry. And
They are working on the logistics as to what's going to be included. There was mention of geocaching, different signs with information about moonshine and that.
What's the
particular area.
entity behind this? Who is sort of promoting and the driving force behind this?
It would be the tourism and economic development for the different counties.
So it'd be the EDA boards.
So multiple EDA boards.
Right. And, the Blue Ridge Institute Museum, through Ferrum College, has a lot of information. We're also working with the Historical Society. Obviously, Henry is in on those conversations. They're really fun. They're really interesting and insightful. This event is just to tie all of that together. And eventually it will be something.
I'm really on board with that because that is the history of the county.
It is.
The history of the region. And it's very much like our agricultural roots and history too. And some people find it a bit distasteful that the moonshine should be the historical reference to this region. But you can't deny these the history behind moonshine, the tax evasion policies of moonshiners, prohibition, and all of that. So I'm delighted in that respect that even though some people find it distasteful, we're not looking to cancel it. Right? Because that cancel culture thing is the one thing that I am abhorrently against. Because I find it, you can't unwrite history, and the roots are deep. So I fully support what you're trying to do here. This really is, I think that's culturally perfect.
Absolutely, I agree. And it's one of many projects that I'm working on. And so naturally, because people know that I'm working on events and festivals now, they asked me to be a part of it, and gladly I accepted.
Right on. Well done. I mean, it's a challenge. I know the stress behind trying to put all of those pieces of the jigsaw together. It's very stressful. It's not an easy task.
Right. There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Anything you're trying to put effort into and work. I mean, Colby up here, they just started playing music, going up there and playing in a band or organizing things. Like I know with this.
Well, finding the venue to hold it is actually one of the bigger challenges that we all face.
Yeah, because you've got the NIMBY crowd out there. And the NIMBY crowd, I think, just got Floyd Fest shut down.
Explain the NIMBY crowd. I'm not familiar with that.
NIMBY, it's an acronym, not in my backyard.
I'll kiss my... Anyway, I'll leave that one.
And it's true for...
It's been going on for how long?
Too. Prisons. People don't want prisons, but they don't want them in their backyards. They want power plants. They don't want them in their backyards. They want music, but they don't want it in their backyards, which, I mean... That's such a tough.
So the one event that could possibly bring thousands upon thousands of dollars into Floyd County got canceled by a handful of people.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
We don't know the full story behind that. Do you know anything behind it, Sandra?
I know a little bit. I do know that there is a federally protected species of turtle and butterfly. And I'm sorry, I'm slightly distracted by the amazingness that is Colby Helms right now.
Me too.
Yeah, he's getting it on right now.
He's getting it on.
Yeah, he is. So there's a federally protected species of turtle and butterfly that evidently are threatened by having a festival there. But who is going to love that land more than a bunch of hippies at a festival?
Exactly.
Well, I've been to a few hippie festivals, and they do tend to trash a place just a little bit. But they got good people who's going to go in there and pick it up and clean it up. That's crazy, though. You think about a federally protected turtle. Federally, which means they're connected to the same federal government that goes out and bombs the shit out of brown countries all over the world on a daily basis. It's so mind-bogglingly stupid.
But the thing with Floyd Fest and the consistent... And the reason why I love Floyd Fest so much and the people who actually put it together is because it is formed on the basis of love and community and bringing music together, and that's why we're all here.
Yeah, and that needs support. I mean, why are you going to shoot that down by coming up with some federally protected species? I mean, really?
It's just a small bump in the road. I'm confident they'll be back.
Oh, absolutely.
In order to even be able to shut this down, they have to have proof that what goes on the weekend of Floyd Fest actually harms these turtles and butterflies.
it's the habitats that are being disturbed by the bridges and the roads that were created for the different areas and the camping sites, and
that they get hot.
That's what the claim
with people
is.
coming in and out. Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is it's held in a field.
Right.
That goes right back to being a field after the weekend.
Well, if you didn't know this, but I mean,
It's a very convenient
them
excuse.
hippies show up with their wooden bats in hand, and any animal they see running through there, well,
They
just
just
go,
whack 'em.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like
No.
It's like a seal cull in
Doubtful.
Canada, is it? I mean, come on. It's just a very convenient way that a minority, and it's a very, very small minority, flexes its muscle on something that is a culturally successful, economically successful, and that just pisses me off.
Well, it almost seems like it's because they didn't come up with the idea, or they don't get any benefit from it.
Well,
You know what I mean?
it's that whole wokeism crap as well. I mean,
Well,
I'm so offended. I'm offended by
You're
that whole.
offended by hearing music and
No, I'm offended that they've got that leverage of federally protected bullshit, and they've used it successfully to cancel an event that has been very successful.
that brings in thousands of
Well, and
it
I'm not
puts-
saying that money should be the overriding factor behind that, but come on.
Well, people look forward to it every year. It's an event. It's something people that put on their calendars and they plan it. And I forgot to mention this in the beginning of the show, but one of the creators of Floyd Fest, one of our good friends, does quite a bit of work for him, and he was down there hollering at him a couple weeks ago and said, "Hey, I got these buddies that do a podcast." So he passed his number on to me, so we're gonna have him on the show here in a few weeks. He just got back from Mexico and said, "Give him a shout when he gets back."
Chris?
Yeah.
All right.
So he's gonna be coming on the show here in the next couple weeks. So we'll get
He actually created Floyd Fest.
exactly. So it's going to be exciting to have him on, hear his point of view. Maybe we'll get into the reason it was canceled, but I really want to talk just about the whole process. I want to talk about, from its beginning, how it's grown so much, what went into the decision making of allowing the Harwell Grace Band to play one of your festivals. Was times that desperate? Did you, I mean, I really find it.
His festival started not too differently than how mine started. It's just a celebration of love and music, and in its early days, it was mostly local bands, and it grew.
Yeah, JG and them, they played on one of the stages when it had gotten pretty big. Because it was kind of like a really big deal. I can't remember who all he followed, but
Well, he also does he still supports local music.
they
you
always
know.
let local bands come on in there and play in the mix of things. I just
Well,
like to take a chance.
Music
a
has
shot at-
been the bridge of all languages, and I don't think we hold it in enough esteem and support it. It's a crying shame.
Yeah.
It
And I
really
said that
is.
on one of the earlier shows too. Music is one thing that will bring people from any
race, creed, religion.
everything together. Political affiliation, religion, it doesn't matter. All of that goes out the window when
Yep.
you have a song that everybody connects to on a certain level. There's nothing that brings people together more than music, and that's why it's so beautiful, and that's why so many people support it.
Well, I think there's a chap that springs to mind instantly when we're on this subject, and it's 5 Points, and
Music Sanctuary.
the 5 Points Music Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Tyler Godson there has got a philosophy that a lot of people should listen to, because he puts it so eloquently, and I do it. I'm not even going to attempt to replicate what he can put across so eloquently with music. Listen to a previous podcast with Tyler, and just listen to what he has to say about music. And this is from someone who is profoundly involved in the industry and how to attack and deal with PTSD. What he's doing with music, I think, is revolutionary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I take my hat off to him. He's a unique individual, and I've got the greatest admiration for him, for what he does, and we need more people like him out there.
You want to know something? There's actually a common denominator. There's one person that helped Chris Hodges from Floyd Fest. He helped, among other people. He helped Tyler as well, and he's actively helping me with the Coves right now. His name's Gary Jackson. He's the one who started the Harvester back when the Harvester originally started. The whole concept was him. And now he's doing the Coves over here at Smith Mountain Lake, and I'm working closely with him to, take over for him eventually when he decides to retire. But that is a very smart man, and that's someone who, has been a mentor to so many great people who have put so many things together.
Perhaps he should be on one of these shows. I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
If he's been that influential, he's someone I'd love to sit down and have a chat with. Just because I dig the whole concept. I get it.
And that's one thing Gary always did also, or even does, is supports local music. He'll bring national acts and all of that, but local and embracing the community, because that's where it starts. It starts with the children. The children see their peers in their community doing things, and it spawns this love of music, and then it some people have the mentality to take it further and become someone like Colby Helms, who is quickly rising in the community. I mean,
very much so.
Very much so.
Yeah, there's a very talented individual right there. I mean, inspirational.
But this is kind of taking a step back. I was just sitting here thinking, I'd be willing to put money on it that there is no more risk at the Floyd Festival to any of those endangered species that are federally protected as it is Blackwater Ramble.
There you go.
You have 200 canoes floating down the river, and you know that every beer bottle and every beer can that's drank
is pitched.
doesn't make it off the island. So anyway, that was just
it's not like we're building skyscrapers.
Yeah.
It's such a low impact. That the impact is so minuscule. But it baffles me.
But music itself, I mean, you listen to the music that we're listening to right now, and listen to the harps and everything that they played. I mean, and music has touched so many different aspects of everybody's life, from rock and roll to
everything,
to the
absolutely
blues,
everything,
to country, to what is it? It's just,
you're on a roll, Chris.
It's just amazing, to see the instruments and how they've evolved over time. And what's really cool is watching, people over in Africa and whatnot carve these fiddles or these flutes, and they look so simple, and they put out some of the best sounding tunes and music that's ever been created or made. Or
yeah, well, we've talked about that many times on this show about how with Colby and with Billy Hurt and Josh Grice and a bunch of these musicians we've had on, talk about the influence that came from the jazz community. Like bluegrass really isn't that old of a genre of music. It's only about as old as rock and roll is. People think it goes way, way back. Yeah. They just started taking some of those older tunes and kind of making their own spin on things. So, music's the reason my wife and I got together. Just our love for it. We planned on, taking quite a few years after we were married and together and traveling around and seeing shows and doing all this kind of stuff. And she got pregnant pretty quick, and we haven't done anything since. So
I believe that's no fault of just hers alone.
Well, no, but we got engaged at a big show out west. That was my whole thing. I took her out there to see 3 days of fish for not Labor Day weekend. They always do fish at Dick's out there 3 days. Yeah, I'm a big Widespread Panic fan. I traveled all over into the country to see them over the years, and always had a blast doing that. That's why I love music so much. That's why I like having musicians on the show a whole lot. That's why they're so elusive, because they're just a different breed, and they're always playing, so it's tough to get them all to sit down together. But I just gotta,
like y'all were
saying,
big
respect.
Yeah, like y'all were saying earlier, music is the one thing that if you can't understand somebody else's language, you can listen to the music and tell, like Hispanic music. I mean, those guys, you can tell if they're singing a sappy love song or what they call a birthday party. A fiesta or siesta.
Siesta,
they're
yes.
playing.
No, siesta is when you sleep. Fiesta is when you party.
That's right. But yeah, music can touch so many people in so many different ways.
What's universal, like you said, and we've got such a rich culture. You talk about moonshine and the Heritage Festival and the moonshine down here, but our music history here in Franklin County is almost just as rich and almost just as deep. And a lot of people just don't even know about that. All the different artists and musicians who've come through here and played here. Doobie Shea Studios right there in Boone's Mill. I mean, they were the ones who really got Mountain Heart kicked into high gear. Now, a lot of the Mountain Heart guys, Abernathy and Jim Van Cleve, that we've had on the show before, Grammy-winning musicians. They talk about coming to Boone's Mill to cut records. Ronnie Bowman. Dan Tominski lived here for quite some time. Billy Hurt, one of the best fiddlers on the planet. Colby Helms. I mean, Matt Powell, did they end up playing earlier or did they get rained out?
They unfortunately got rained out, yeah.
I figured they would because it was just coming down
They were
bad.
here. They were just waiting around, and, the stage was so wet, and we were battling the rain with the sound guy, and they unfortunately didn't get to play, but
him and Corey are two of the most talented musicians you can find anywhere.
Franklin County has a lot of amazing talent, and I'm helping with the Rocky Mounts 150th anniversary this year on September 30th. It's the 150 Fest, and we're going to have about 5 stages in one street in the town of Rocky Mount, and I'm primarily seeking out Franklin County musicians, but we've got so much amazing talent, and some of the highest grossing bands that are in the area regionally are coming from Franklin County, such as The Works and Mended Fences. We got
Crawford and Power,
yep. So it's going to be primarily focused on Franklin County musicians. Obviously, I can't, some people are booked. For example, Harwell Grice is not available that weekend.
Yeah, they're probably playing over there in front of the airport.
Hey guys, I'm gonna kick off here and go hang out and listen to music with my little girl for a little bit.
You do that.
And we also have, Annalise Marie. She just turned 17 years old. She's very highly popular now. She got on Floyd Fest last year for the first time. Again, so many amazing musicians in Franklin County even now.
Morgan Wade's from around here too, isn't she?
She, I believe, is from Floyd.
Mason Vi, I think he's from Patrick County in northern North Carolina, and he plays with Old Crow Medicine Show right now.
He lives at the lake.
Yeah, him, Crawford and Power, and Morgan Wade, I'm pretty sure all three were at, like we said before, Caleb's festival. He used to throw the Twisted Cow. He did for about 2 years. You got to turn your mic on there, you Brit.
Yeah, it's so unprofessional.
You nit Brit.
Yeah, you can't help it. Who was the chap that you were talking about running the coves?
Oh, Gary Jackson. I was saying earlier that and this was when you stepped away for a second, Billy, but there's a common denominator behind a lot of the current promoters who has been such a mentor to a lot of the individuals, such as Chris Hodges and Tyler Godsey, and even myself. He's taken me under his wing, thankfully. But Gary Jackson, he's who started the Harvester. He does the coves now. He's trying to teach me how to do all of the stuff that he does so that he can retire eventually.
I'm kind of intrigued as to your opinion about how you would consider his loss from the Harvester has impacted the success or lack of success of the Harvester. And I'm sure it's a little bit contentious.
So, yes, and in my role right now, and because I am so incredibly involved in the music community, as well as the town of Rocky Mount and Franklin County, I can't really say too much, but I do know that when there was a change in town council, that's when Gary decided to step away from the Harvester. So that's all I can really say about that.
Okay, I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but it sounds as though the way the Harvester is currently run has definitely been a turn for the worse.
Yeah.
Again,
there's been a big push in the community for me to submit an unsolicited bid proposal to run the Harvester myself. All of the people who support live music, all of the businesses in the town of Rocky Mount are pushing me to do that consistently.
Well,
And
Brian from the burger companies also made that offer, funnily enough.
he did. He did. He offered more recently to purchase it. He called me after that conversation, and obviously he's one of the biggest proponents in telling me to submit that bid proposal. But I mean, he's got. I don't want to name names and throw anyone under the bus, but a lot of the businesses in the town of Rocky Mount are also pushing because I'm local and I've created this community for music specifically. Matt Powell put it funnily enough. He was like, no, I don't want to throw Matt under the bus, but he made a really funny comment talking about me, being able to sell not so great music.
So, So may I ask your opinion on the company that does the performing bookings based out of Charlotte, North Carolina? Because that's a very hot point for me, is the town.
So Midwood Entertainment is not as they're based out of North Carolina. I have a feeling, and this is only speculation, but Micah, the guy that owns it, is originally from Roanoke. And the Harvester does have a lot of ties to Roanoke for some reason, and I'm not completely clear as to why. Like, for example, Martin's, which is a really well-known bar in Roanoke, they run the bar at the Harvester as opposed to the Harvester keeping that ABC money. So, again, I don't want to comment too much. I do have opinions, but I have to stay neutral.
Okay. I mean,
but I agree with
the thing
you.
is, we need that information to actually form opinions.
Sure, and
for us.
But at the same time, sure, Micah is Midwood Entertainment. They are based out of North Carolina. He's not local, but at the same time, he does do a lot of stuff locally too. And the promoters, so it's like musicians in the community, all support each other. The promoters try to support the musicians as much as they can, but the promoters, even though it might look like a competitive industry, we actually all support each other. Honestly, just through conversation, one of the people who taught me a lot of what I know is Chris Hodges. Just through conversation, because we were going to do a concert, and then it turned out that the month that I was going to do it was the same month that they were going to end up moving, and so I ended up with a plan B, which is how I came up with the Smith Mountain Lake Live Music Festival. But we do help each other, and even Micah stepped in and said, hey, I'll help promote your festival for you. I kind
of get what you're saying there, and I have an understanding of it as well. But
as far as the technical and the money and the loss and all of that, like I don't know enough about that to be able to comment on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all striving for it to get out of.
We all want it to be successful, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, for the town of Rocky Mount to have a successful venue like the Harvester has been, it's visionary, and it can really lead the way to another dynamic for the town. So I get that. There's also a bit of a conflict in that all the booking agents, they work together, but that's also a conflict. So to have a third party that is independent and runs and owns the Harvester, I think would be a much better fit for the Harvester. I'm not convinced that the EDA and the town of Rocky Mount should be involved in that independent enterprise.
Right.
So, I'm just not seeing that as a successful combination.
Right. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Jefferson Center in Roanoke is similarly run, right? It's owned by Roanoke, but Roanoke maintains the building, but they don't buy the talent. That they have to try to make it self-sufficient, and and maybe we can come to some type of compromise like that. I
think that's needed for the Harvester and the continued success, because it's definitely on a trajectory of success. But financially, we're seeing it being budgeted for a pretty significant loss within the town, and that, quite frankly, speaks volumes in town's mismanagement in one way, form or other. So, I think we've got to reapproach the relationship with the management of the harvester and that relationship with the town and the EDA, because clearly I think it could be a lot more successful. I'm conflicted.
Yeah. And
Well,
with
I think with a place like that too, and I mentioned this to Brian, I was like, you've got it there for 365 days a year. Now it's not really reasonable to think there's going to be a show there 5 days a week, music.
No, that would be ridiculous.
But why not bring in some comedy acts? There are tons of comedians out there. The low overhead, you don't have to set anything up. Just go up there and set the mic
Well,
up.
Tyler at 5 Point Sanctuary has come down from his live shows because it wasn't viable. So you've got to figure out where is the viability. And I think it needs to be managed a lot closer knit.
Yeah, and that's actually interesting that you say that, because there's two things that I have to say. Like if I did, run the harvester, I would run it differently than the way that it's run currently. Yes, still have national acts come through there.
You have to.
But I would also embrace more of the local talent, right? And then have a cover charge. Right?
That was the premise of the harvester being set up. So they've strayed from that. I mean, COVID threw a wrench in the works.
Sure.
We know that. But that's also an excuse.
Right. And I would continue, if I would do that, and by earning money, you would make it a little bit more self-sufficient. Keep that ABC money in the harvester so that it can make a little bit of a profit, so that it can have a little bit of a budget to buy mid-sized bands and even bigger bands, But two, with all of that being said, any music venture, and this is one thing that was really, really, really emphasized to me, was that any music venture in any capacity is always a risk. You take today, for example, right?
The arts has always been a risk. It's always been funded externally because it's, for the most part, loss-making.
Sure, but you take this event, and, you take this event today, right? We paid for the bands, we paid for the sound, all that moonshine that was bought for the purpose of tasting. It's been a beautiful week all week. It's going to be a beautiful week next week. But today, of all days, was the day that it got rained out. And so, 90% of my vendors didn't show up. One of the bands couldn't even play. Like, it's always a risk. And then you don't even have the amount of people. We have a great turnout. Considering...
Yeah, but as an outside venue, you're going to run into that. The harvester's an inside venue.
Sure. But the point is the risk that is being assumed by the town, which, in other words, I am agreeing with you that, perhaps that money shouldn't be coming from the town. Maybe that type of venture is not appropriate for the town. I don't know. I can't comment on it, like I said.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm not putting you on the hot seat. That's the last thing I'm trying to do.
I don't disagree with the point that you're making.
Well, I think,
I wish you all the luck in your endeavours in that regard.
Thank you.
Because a change is required. Yeah. And by the sounds of it, it's the first time I've met you. I think you have a vision there that is noteworthy and should be pursued. Yeah. I'm not against that in any way, shape, or form.
Well, that at the last town council meeting, when they brought up the harvester, and our favorite little assistant town manager made his speech, one of the things that he had mentioned was, well, we don't sell food at the harvester. That way people will come in and they'll spend money at the restaurants and stuff. Well, I mean, that sounds great in theory, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are coming in for those 7 o'clock shows. By the time they get home, jump in the shower, they don't have time to pick up anything. So why not rotate the vendors and the harvester, have buddies in there one night, have, the burger company in there one night, have LEO in there one night. That way you got a little buffet of food. People are still going to support local. They're still going to support those local restaurants, but they don't have to go travel out because they've got a time crunch, because not all shows are on a Saturday night where people have time. A lot of them are on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and they don't have time to stop and eat in town. So sell food there. Encourage it, but just bring in a local company and rotate
make it local, not the food truck out of Roanoke where we still haven't got any clear financials with what that deal was. So yeah, I mean, but those it gets contentious at this point. So I'm I'm not going to go there. We've already been there. But they need to work in harmony with the local community and not against it. And what they've done thus far is unfortunately work against it. So, a little bit of harmony would go a long way.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to what we have on store, coming up here in the next little bit with musicians and artists and events and stuff. And I think this event's a good way to kick off the summer. So.
Oh, yeah, it's a great start. It's a shame.
Like I said, I wish the rain had ceased. I think this place would be crawling with people, and I'd probably end up drinking a little bit.
Well, we were going to come by boat, but that got nixed.
Yeah.
Which would have been hysterical because I've come in here a few times during Pirates Week, and it's been mayhem. And that would have been great, But
We
hey,
got Pirates Week coming up this year. I got $5 Shake here, Axis 5.
right on.
Live Sloan and the Diehards is going to be here. So $5 Shake and Axis 5 are going to be here on Saturday. Live Sloan and the Diehards are going to be here on Sunday.
That's a good plug, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to like it. Yes. Okay. I mean, that as long as we're moving and shaking and moving forward with a little bit of harmony, I think you'll breed success.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And actually, the way that I got started in all of that was with this very podcast, right? Remember when we first started the podcast, or when Billy first started a couple episodes in, I was like, hey, let me promote you guys. And so we were kind of starting to spin off on that, and we were doing that. We were bringing musicians on, and that was a lot of fun. And then you guys were talking about the idea of doing a festival. So I went to town on research and started networking with everybody and everybody I knew. And then before I knew it, my plate became really full because through all of that networking, everything that I'm doing, it was never intentional. It was completely an accident. And I took
fell into it. And that's natural.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm cool with that.
I have 20 years of project management and software development, and I ended up having to quit that job to pursue what I'm doing now, because it ended up being too much. It all started with a Facebook group, Smith Mountain Lake Live Music. It was owned by Kyle Forey. It was 3 years old. It had 400 members, and now a little over a year later, it's got 7,100 and some odd members. And then I have another group that has 12,000.1 members. And the way that this has grown and spiraled, and the support that I have personally received from the community has been astounding. And it turned into people saying, hey, do you book? Oh, it started with a list of me just making an update of all the music that was happening. The list turned into a video with the guy here at Crazy Horse Marina. And then people were like, hey, do you book? And I'm like, I could try. And then I had venues reaching out to me, asking me to book their musicians, and I created this huge network to the point that people started asking me to help with events, and I'm like, okay, sure. I got stupid written on my head.
It's not easy work.
Within 2 months, it turned into something that I actually had to create an LLC for, and that's how Lovers Rock Productions was formed. But honestly, it was because of the networking that I did, because of this podcast, trying to learn how to put on a festival for the purpose of Appalachian Podcast.
Billy. You started something that snowballed.
That festival's still going to happen. I ended up having to put it on hold because we started talking about it, getting hot and heavy into it, and I started researching on my end, and then next thing you know, here comes number 2 in the oven. So I kind of had to put a kibosh on that. So,
well, the Smith Mountain Lake Live Music Festival that I did last year was actually a plan B to an event that I was going to do with Across the Way Productions. And, actually it was JD Setfin who suggested that we do it. And he was like, hey, why don't you just do an event with all of the people that you book? So I was like, sure. And the proof of concept was I had it spanned 2 different counties. I had one main ticketed venue at the Coves, and then I had 5 other satellite venues across Bedford County and Franklin County. It was supported by both counties and sponsored by both counties. That proof of concept showed me that it worked. It was incredibly successful, so this year it's going to be 2 days. So I say, Billy, if you want to put on an Appalachian festival, let's do it.
It's going to happen. It's
that was the gauntlet was thrown down there, Billy. Are you picking it up?
Plus, with the show here in the past couple of years, I've also made some really good, made some really good relationships with some really good musicians that I've gotten to know and spoken with, like Jim and them with the Road Show, And like Ryan Weaver, country music, this dude hit me up out of nowhere not too long ago for the military connection, and I've been trying to find facilities to get these guys at. And now that I've got like enough to bring in, now all I got to do is just start making the calls. But I want my wife to be a big part of that too, so it's kind of difficult with little mini me's running around making her life an absolute.
That are now fully
Just
mobile.
a little bit of advice from learning this process literally from scratch is you want to try to get as much community support as possible, right? So in other words, sponsorships, right? You want to try, your goal should be to get enough sponsorships to pay for the event, so that way everything that you make off of the event can either be donated to a nonprofit. As a matter of fact, I do recommend teaming up with a nonprofit for the purpose of sponsorships, because it makes it easier when you're requesting money from businesses and stuff like that. But that way, you can benefit and it'll help fund this podcast or whatever it is that you choose to do. It can also help, whatever benefit or cause that you find, that's near and dear to your heart. And kind of just take it from there. Come from a genuine place.
From the heart.
Right, because if you come from an, like an angle of greed and, I'm going to get rich, you're not going to make money. No. You're not going to get rich. And it's hard. It's definitely very, very hard. And it's very time consuming and lots of sleepless nights. But you can do it. If you want to do it bad enough, you can do it.
Yeah, it's kind of motivation you need right there. Absolutely. And I think we're going to make it happen. We got some fun stuff coming up. I think it's spring. They're going to propel us a little bit. We got some people coming on that I'm pretty excited for. I think after the Spike event, we're going to have a whole new outlook, a whole new perspective, and a whole new reach to be able to get people to start coming to this town more often and spending money. And I think we're going to turn Franklin County into a retreat, so to speak, for people to just
a
come
good hot venue.
Exactly.
The
entire town's going to be just one hot venue. The entire county.
It's moving in the right direction.
It really
so
is.
that pleases my heart.
As it does mine.
There we go.
Well, all right, then. Well, we'll go ahead and stop it there, Sandra. We appreciate your time, and thank you for having us down here today. Hopefully there'll be more events in the future we can work on. And maybe next time I'll get some banners or something so people actually know who the hell we are sitting over here. So, I don't know. We might get Colby on here. We're going to get Colby on too, Simon. What are we going to do with that?
Well, we're going to give that a shot when he wraps it up. But yeah, thank you, Sandra, for coming on
Who are
board.
those people sitting there with
It was a
headphones
pleasure to
on?
meet you.
Yeah, likewise. Pleasure to meet you guys. And if I may plug, we have coming up on May 27th, we have a kickoff to summer event at Crazy Horse Marina. And then this year, September 2nd and 3rd is the Smith Mountain Lake Live Music Festival 2023.
And where's that?
It's going to be, there's going to be a couple ticketed venues and a bunch of satellite venues. So Crazy Horse Marina over there in the 40-acre field is going to be one of the main venues, as well as the Coves at Smith Mountain Lake. I'm not sure I can announce it because it hasn't really been publicly announced, but I'll say it anyway. So Keb Mo is going to be there on September 2nd. But yeah, more to come on that.
Is that an inside scoop?
That is an inside scoop. It hasn't been
Woohoo!
announced
We
yet.
got an inside scoop, Billy.
It's kind of like what she's talking about is kind of like a music festival, but instead of it all being on one location, it's is that kind of
the original concept was you go to one music festival and there's multiple stages, right? And originally the concept was the different marinas would be the different stages, and so the venue would actually be the lake. But it's kind of expanded into Rocky Mount because of the support that Rocky Mount has shown me.
Oh, super cool.
Yeah, so it's coming from
That's exciting.
all around the lake into Rocky Mount.
Yeah, that's exciting. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you once again. We're going to take another break real quick, regain our functions, and hopefully get Colby on here for a couple of minutes because I heard he's got some big news.
Oh, right on. I hope
He
so.
does. I can't wait for you guys to hear it.
Oh, another scoop. 2 scoops in one afternoon. This is almost too much.
I heard what it was, so we're going to drag it out of him if he doesn't
There we
want
go. Torture.
Once
Hey.
again, Sandra, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time.
thank
you
you
for coming
guys.
up here. Next time you do something like this, reach out to us. We'll come out in the community and
Right on.
hopefully be on our best behavior once again.
You guys were on excellent behavior today.
Good.
Thank you very much.
I didn't drink any. So
Very unusual.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you in a second.
Thank you guys. Take care.
All righty, we're back here with our last segment. Everything's kind of winded down now. Simon and I are hanging out. The crowd has left. The event has ended, but
The sun is setting.
getting a little chilly down by the water.
Yeah.
But it was worth the wait because we're sitting here with our buddy Colby Helms and John. John, what's your last name? John Vance. We're sitting here with these boys who just got done playing one hell of a set. Colby had him on about a month and a half ago. It was one heck of a show. We had a lot of people told me
we had a personal show.
Yeah, a lot of people told us that was one of their favorite shows they'd ever listened to, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. So good to see you again, man. I appreciate you coming back on.
Yes, sir. It's good to be here. You know, I don't usually play shows down here at Smith Mountain Lake. But it was a good change up. I had a free weekend, and Sandra hit me up and asked me if we could come down here and headline this event, and I was super excited to do it, especially because I had an open weekend. That was super rare for me. So we came down here. We didn't get my mandolin player, Chandler, down here, but the three of us, me and Adam Cecil, my fiddle player, and my boy John Vance right here, we got up there and lit the stage up for a little while, and we had a blast. I think it was rainy earlier today, wasn't it, guys?
Oh, it was dreadful. I mean, the weather actually killed the event, but the performance was off the chart.
Well, we came as soon as we got on stage. The clouds started parting. It was kind of something biblical almost.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
And the sun came out for the last set, so I'm super grateful for that. I hate playing in the rain. I know John does too.
Yeah.
We've done it before though. A lot more sad songs come out there.
Yeah, no, that sounded absolutely fantastic. Man, I would love to hear the mandolin behind all of that as well. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. I think you guys pulled off a great set. You know, it was bluegrass and a little bit contemporary. Man, I loved it. I mean, it was just smoking.
Not to mention, John was playing a bass he had never played before. Trying out a good
test driving an old Fender Jazz bass.
Yeah, Fender Jazz.
Fender Jazz.
It's a lot nicer than the one he's been playing.
Yeah.
He's been playing a PV, I believe it's called a PV.
Yeah, I think it's a PV.
I don't know the
know
model
much
number,
about
but
it. That's $200 bass.
It sounds like pulling a string over a sock and playing it.
It's just muffled.
It's just muffled as hell. But this Fender Jazz really opened up.
So that the pickups on the Jazz are better. I know my brother just bought. He had a Hofner violin.
Yeah,
and that's the ultimate.
I just looked at
mind.
the Hofner like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and he got the other Hofner bass. I don't know what it's called. It's different. And it doesn't have that tag of Paul McCartney behind it. You know what I'm? You know what I mean?
I know
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, I mean, it's like when you rock out with a Rickenbacker. Are you doing a John Lennon? If you rock out with a Hofner violin bass, you're doing a Paul McCartney. That's all there is to it. But he got the other Hofner bass guitar that's out there, and man, it looks smoking, and he loves it.
Oh yeah.
So and he broke out a new
Yeah,
bass.
this was actually I played 3 or 4 songs on it right before we got here, and then played it on stage, and definitely a substantial difference in sound.
A Fender Jazz bass is a nice. It's a slick bass, so definitely you could hear that tone in there. So
for sure.
Awesome.
I mean, the Fender Jazz Precision
Yeah.
is, it's a world recognized instrument for that very reason. I mean, it's slick. Loved it. It was great. It came through. It was crisp. You know.
Oh yeah, that thing it punched right through. I mean, it sounded good.
And what amp were you using?
I was actually using my Fender amp. I don't know too much about it. I actually got it off of a buddy. A buddy of mine loaned it to me.
Valve or?
No, it's a
transistor amp.
It's a transistor amp. It's definitely it's a newer one, but it's not that new. If you know what I mean, it's probably from early 2000s or so.
Right.
It's a bass amp though. I mean,
yeah,
it sounded really good. My buddy
sounded great.
My buddy that had the other bass that he just borrowed, he's got another little tiny amp, and he was going to let us use that. I said, "Nah, I think that bass will be a good combo with your amp." And
it's a Fender bass and a Fender amp. They just kind of go hand in hand.
Now think about stepping it up and go a Valve amp with it. A Fender Valve bass
get
amp.
real rippy with it.
Now you'd be cooking. Cooking.
Yeah, man.
Rip some faces off.
I've tried to get him doing some more jazz and swing stuff too. Or my mandolin player, he's super into jazz and swing stuff, and I love that stuff. And John used to be one of the traditional bluegrass guys,
bluegrass.
making fun of jazz and stuff. But I think we're getting him to come around a little bit, making him turn a little bit.
Yeah, that's the way to go. That's the way to go.
That's how it always starts at the beginning. It's just like you dabble in it a little bit.
Just
and,
subliminal.
And then it
gets you. But shit, yeah, man. It's starting to get the pink clouds coming in, the tide's setting down. It's looking nice on the lake tonight, guys. I'm super
Yeah,
chill.
I mean, it's just such a shame it wasn't just packed out because but it is what it is, and you guys held it together as though it was a packed audience, and credit to you. You know,
honestly, I'm sitting here looking and I'm thinking back, and if I put myself in a time machine and I go back to like 1985, before social media existed, before everybody could just email everybody or promote an event like this, I bet you by word of mouth. And before all the Yankees moved down here to the lake and all the Simons folk run all the poor people off, now we can't afford it. Can you imagine in 1985 if you'd have had a moonshine festival right here without one Facebook post? This place would have been filled top to bottom, boats dragging through to come in here, cars parked everywhere saying bootleg. Nobody's stopping, but it's crazy that we find ourselves in today's world where you have just so many freaking options.
Yeah.
So much going on. And then, you have an outdoor event like this and the weather comes and kind of shits on it for a bit. But, I mean,
Hey, that's the dice you're rolling with, right?
I think in 85, I bet you, even if it had been thunderstorming, everybody had been out here with 3 sheets to the wind.
Oh, yeah, dancing in the mud.
The stories I used to hear about Smith Mountain Lake pre-90, I mean, they were just phenomenal. They barefoot skiing everywhere, drunk, because... you didn't have as much law around. Everybody was kind of testing the limits. And
yeah, I mean, it was a different time back then. You could get away with a whole lot more, I reckon, too. You didn't have somebody videoing your every move,
Not a bunch of eyes on you.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you never know. You go down the other side of the county, down to Philpott, you might get away with some of them same things, some of them same shenanigans. I know.
I bet you could.
I don't know about that. That's a U.S. military run lake. There ain't no telling what they got buried in the bottom of that lake. So they're probably very well protective of it.
Something tied to a cinder block.
I have seen some odd vehicles down there like that. Some military stuff down there before.
Oh yeah, I would not be surprised if Navy SEALs don't use Philpott. I'm pretty sure they do use Philpott to do certain kinds of training.
There was a Chinook was caught on camera here lifting out one of their fast attack boats.
There it is.
Somewhere locally. And I mean, what can I say? Mm-hmm. It's going on.
Take another sip.
Don't want to.
But yeah, man, it's good we still have these type of things around here. I mean, Bedford's right to our neighbor here, and I know that, even they can't have some of the things that we have in Franklin County. When I was doing land surveying, that's what I did when I got out of high school. We surveyed a lot at the lake, and you'd be surprised all the building restrictions that they have in Bedford versus Franklin County. Franklin County is a whole lot more lenient on that type of thing. So,
but the only thing with Franklin County is they will not give you that VRBO. Airbnb. I always get stuck on that for some reason. I've got a mental block with Airbnb, but anyway, they obviously haven't paid me.
Yeah.
But, you cannot do that here.
You can't do that
in Franklin County.
Wow.
And that blows my mind. And that concept.
Well, I think you can do it, but I think
you have to do it on an individual basis.
Every single time you rent it out,
so
you got to reapply.
It's a special use permit or whatever it may be. So what Franklin County Board of Supervisors doing, getting slightly political, and I don't want to go down this road, I'll stop as soon as I finish this next statement. Is that Bedford County? Bedford County allows it. So what the Board of Supervisors is doing indirectly is allowing all those tax dollars to be accrued in Bedford County and not Franklin County. And I'll leave that concept there. And I hope it sinks in. But, hey, wake up.
Yeah, I know several people that's been wanting to do Airbnbs in Franklin County and have the best spots to do it, honestly. I don't know much about that, enough to get into it, but I do know that's kind of odd. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, it's just a travesty. But, when one of your sole purposes is to increase the tax revenue for the county, they have done the complete opposite. So one has to ask what is behind that. What leverage is there? Because there's leverage somewhere.
Well, if you switched roles and you allowed Airbnb and allowed the harvester to flourish, I could probably build myself another house somewhere and rent my house out to Airbnb every time a big act came into town. As close as it is, I could pay my rent, pay my mortgage with that, and build me another house somewhere outside of town and keep that town status in case, I want to get the assistant town manager position or something. I still got that house in town, which is mine.
We won't let you get it. That position will no longer be open.
So fellas, how's life been for you in the past, I guess, month and a half or two since we've seen
Any
you
new
last?
news? I understand you've got something to tell us.
Yes. I'm going to be doing some pretty cool shows, opening up for he's not up and coming. He's been riding the wave for a while.
Well established.
Country singer named Charlie Crockett. I'll be playing for him in June, opening it up in Charleston. Well, it's actually Isle of Palm, South Carolina, which is right there in Charleston. And right on the beach at a venue called the Windjammer. And it's best because this big stage right on the beach, and the audience is facing towards the beach. It's super awesome. I can't wait to open up there. And then the next day we'll be opening up in Raleigh on June 13th at this place called the Ritz. And I looked it up. It looks more of a modern dance club, but I'm super thrilled. I think it's going to be the kind of energy that we need. I mean, we are one of those bands that we like to provide the energy. If the energy's there, then the crowd will reciprocate it. But if
it's a two-way street.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a two-way street for sure.
We definitely feed off the crowd just as much as they feed off us. So we're super excited to have a big crowd. They're not going to be there for us, but we're going to try to at least make them remember what they saw.
Hey, every band started opening up for another band.
Exactly.
What I mean? You have to find that area. You have to find that niche.
And you only have when you go and open up for a big band, you only got 30, 45 minutes. You got a small time to make a mark in these people's head.
It's all impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm super nervous, anxious, and excited at the same time. As you can imagine, I'll be heading up to Maryland actually next week. The end of next week, early the week after that, to do start my album in Rockville, Maryland. I got my buddy Billy Hurt, who y'all have had on here
we
before.
know Billy.
We've talked about him a little bit. He's going to be helping produce this album for my Photo Finish Records, which is the record company that I've joined. Signed the contract with them back near St. Patrick's Day, and
how appropriate.
Yeah, it was a little lucky, honestly. I'm super happy to be working with them. I just got a manager out of North Carolina near Charlotte. His name's Dolph Ramsher. It's Ramsher Records and Ramsher Management Team. They manage some big acts in the Americana field. They manage the Avett Brothers.
Oh,
which,
wow. Okay.
They're like a kind of a poppy country Americana band duo. They're out of North Carolina. They manage Sierra Farrell. She's been one of my favorite singers since I was in high school. She's from Charleston, West Virginia. She can yodel. She can play the guitar. She can do all the old songs just like me, but she's in her 30s, but she's you wouldn't know it. She's still a beautiful girl that can sing your heart out. I mean, you'd be stopped in her presence.
Right on.
She's awesome. They manage Amethyst Kia. She's an African American singer with like a more of a bluesy, like rock, almost I can hear some British invasion in her stuff too. She has like the '60s rock feel. I mean, when she sings and plays, it hits you right in the face. They got a very, very wide range of artists that are under their management team. So I was really surprised and happy when my lawyer said Dolph Ramser's interested in talking to you, and I was like, oh, okay.
No shit.
And we got to talking, and we hit it off, and little did I know that he's a really big old-time geek like me, and old bluegrass geek, and so me and him started talking. He was like, I want you to join my lineup, and so we've been getting to work and trying to figure out my logo and figure out some of the logistics behind some of these things, getting it into place, getting some merch made, stuff like that. So we're working on a lot right now. Got a lot on my plate.
That I tell you what, that is a growing story that we cannot wait to follow. I'm super excited for you. I really am.
I've been playing around Roanoke, around Franklin County for many years, even playing the bluegrass jams just whenever I could to get better. And now that we've started to pick up a little following down here in Southwest Virginia, things are starting to get a lot better for us, man. People are starting to really open up to us, and it's all about doing your own thing and being different, though. That's kind of
Stay true.
That's what I've found. You know, I played for a lot of crowds, you know, when I was younger that didn't really open up to our stuff. But then as I got older and didn't change and changed to heat the crowd, you know, I just kind of did my own thing. I guess you can't set a trend if you're following somebody else's, if that makes sense.
I get that 100%.
And that's something I've started to find out. When we started playing in Roanoke, I had my banjo player playing with us and all kinds of cool stuff. People are starting to be like, oh, this is bluegrass, but it's different. And I try to add some of the flavors of Appalachia and some blues and some jazz and just all the different influence I've had throughout my life into my music. And music, people really like it. I've tend to found out that people that are into music and into different types of music appreciate my music a whole lot more than people that just listen to, you know, your average radio stations. But that's why I found that bigger cities has been better for us, actually, because you get a lot more cultural diversity and you get a lot of different people that can appreciate different things about, you know, our music. So that's something I've found out to be a really a gift for us, honestly, because that has helped us out in Roanoke and Charlottesville and some of these other big places. But at the same time, it warms my heart to be able to come back home to Franklin County, play my moonshine songs, you know, my liquor running songs, my hell raising songs, and people still be like, you know, I remember when you were just a little whippersnapper here.
That's it.
That gets me going.
And always come back, Colby. Always come back, man.
It's funny you say that when you talk about kind of having a unique sound, because, you know, Tortured Artist Josh Grice has mentioned this on the show a handful of times about, you know, how people come up to them and said, you know, y'all kind of really aren't bluegrass. And he's like, that's the point, you know. I mean, it's kind of, but you know, you can stick to the oldies and you can have your fun with that, but it's kind of about the experimentation and kind of going out there and trying different unique things to find that little, you know, you don't want the same crowd doing the same thing every single time.
Exactly.
You want something that's going to get a little bit of dance in your, you know, pants. And I don't know, it's just, it's fun to see a lot of those bands that do go out there and do those kind of.
It's not following, it's leading. So when you lead, you're doing something revolutionary, something new.
Well, I'll attribute Josh some to this too, because I mean, you know, me and Stuart Werner, when we were just young cats, we were going to the Harwell Grice band shows and watching Stewie's dad, Stuart, play banjo with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Josh, numerous times invited me up on stage to sing a song or two, and he's always been very encouraging and very supportive of my music, and so it's kind of cool to see the full circle come around, because, you know, he's one of the first guys that was like, look, man, just be yourself, just do your thing, and that's the best you can do, man.
Yeah,
and
I remember seeing you at Chaos with the Josh Grice band on a couple of occasions, and you know, that's absolutely fantastic for the local music scene. You know, it gives it that diversity. And I hate using that word because it's just overused.
Yeah, definitely overused, but it's right in some context for sure.
But in context, that's what's going on, and that, you know, that generates something.
Well, just goes to show how
it's creative.
This big web of people have all influenced each other in many different ways, and maybe some of them knew it or they didn't know it. You know, maybe there's, you know, 20 or 30 people to hear about Colby for the first time on our show, and they might end up following him around, you know, for a couple years and 10 years or something. You know what I mean? Like, you never know what kind of outcome things are going to have when you think back on saying things that Josh said back then. And Josh has his connections with him and to us, and you talk about with Billy Hurt, and there's this huge web where everything's just kind of interconnected, and it's just like
it's a very distinguished web as well.
It's like the Robert Earl Keen song, the party never ends. The road goes on forever, but the party never ends. And that's kind of it's cool to me to see, you know, when I was a little chap watching Billy Hurt's band, you know, I thought that the pinnacle of music would be to be able to be a guitar player for his band. I thought that was the ultimate goal. And then here I am filling in for Billy when I'm 17, 18, when his guitar players couldn't make it. And I'm thinking, wow, I've already reached this goal at such a young age. Why not just keep on expanding and learning? And I feel like that people start to get a big head a lot of times, and they'll quit learning when they're really young. And that's something I try to never make that mistake and do. I try to keep on learning.
That is such great credit to Billy Hurt.
We got to get him back on the show.
He will be delighted to hear that, let me tell you.
He's a good buddy of mine. Yeah. Me and him always shooting the shit, doing some stuff. He's taught me a lot about stuff other than music. I mean, just not too long ago, I was helping him lay a hardwood floor, and he's teaching me how to lay hardwood floor the old-timey way, which is something I didn't know how to do. I mean, he's always teaching me the old-timey way of things and the authentic way. And that's something I try to keep in my music, even though a lot of people don't really like it, especially people that, are stuck in thinking that things should be one way and not another. And I've had people come up to me and say, well, how can you say you're bluegrass but you have an electric bass? Or how could you say this or that, the other? And I'm saying, well,
shut your eyes and listen.
I have old people that are dancing to songs that if another band played it, people would say, well, that's silly. That's something that I really am proud of, is bringing back old songs that if another band played it, people would say, what is this silly stuff? But, I try to let the audience know that, this music came first, and I should pay homage to these forefathers before us, because they created stuff and they did stuff different than the people they were hanging out with. When Bill Monroe went on the Grand Ole Opry and had a 5-string banjo blaring out, that was a whole lot different from the gospel music that was played on there before. A lot slower, a lot more mellow, a lot more like the church stuff back then. That was kind of like rock and roll. And, when Chuck Berry went out on stage and started dancing around, and Elvis Presley went out there and started dancing around on stage.
Bill Haley. Come on, you got to say Bill Haley in there.
Bill Haley went out and playing rock around the clock and all that stuff. That got people jumping. That got people moving. And it was something that was kind of out of style in music since the jazz age, since the 20s. There was a good period of after World War II where conservatism started to come back into America and people wanted to start going to church and getting things right. And then the 1950s come around, and you got these cats going out there shaking their hips and doing all this crazy stuff, and it was more than the mainstream could handle at the time.
They were gyrating.
They were gyrating.
There's that word.
But everybody that came after that is copying them, or they're doing something different. I mean, you either can copy or do something different, or you can take from the people that have provided this great art for us and use it.
Well, if you could think back, we mentioned earlier about the time machine. Think back to people losing their minds over Elvis dancing, and then picture Miley Cyrus going through riding a giant ball with her tongue hanging out, and you know what I mean? I mean, just the absurdness that.
I mean, Louis Armstrong.
The absurdness that it has reached, but it's we've talked about this since we've been here today. That music to Franklin County is almost as powerful and as strong and as rooted as moonshine is. I think no good moonshine festival could ever go without good music, especially something with a bluegrass twist.
It's like the chicken and the egg, isn't it?
It really is.
You know what I mean? I mean, what came first? Well, that was deep. I just went deep.
That was a deep cut.
It just like, oh damn, shit! Now I've got to think about this.
Got my head off.
Was it the music?
Well, I mean, what do you do setting up in those hollers when you're waiting on your...
Yeah, or was it the moonshine? Or was it the moonshine influencing the music?
Well...
Or was it both? Oh, wow. Uh-oh.
It's one of those things that makes me think there's a whole lot of people out there on the internet that can present themselves to make themselves look like they're somebody and make themselves look like they're something different. But a lot of those people are just... they have the internet at their hands. They can look up anything. They have all knowledge at their hands. But then you come back to a place like Franklin County, we're not copying anybody. We're doing what we've done for generation after generation. We're still making that liquor. We're still making that good music. We're still eating that good food. We're still fishing for them fish and killing them deer and shooting them turkey. We're still doing the same old things that we've always been doing. We don't have to copy somebody, to feel like that we are something down here.
Well, I think that's pretty profound.
I think that's something special about this county. Other people copy us, It's not the other way around. We don't have to try to be like something else.
Well, there's a lesson there.
Absolutely. It's so cool, think back on just how this spring has went, and a lot of the people that we've had that are doing great things, spoke earlier about Melissa Gayona, all the good things she's been doing with her stuff and her show, and Nicholas Robertson, he's pitching lights out for the Dodgers minor league team. He looks like he's gonna be pitching in the pros here very soon. Colby's working his magic,
There's something going on.
Yeah,
There is something going
Might
on.
be something in that mountain water.
And that mountain brandy.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
We're trying to keep it real. I feel like every so often some people will start to pinpoint on a region and think, oh, that's where the new up and coming stuff is. For a while, Colorado, they thought that was the new bluegrass. That a lot of people were going to Telluride and all these big bluegrass festivals out west. And now you have this surge ever since probably Tyler Childers of people thinking, oh, Appalachia's the new area.
But it always has been. That's the funny thing.
It's always been.
It always has
just
been.
because now everybody's giving it attention doesn't mean that it's just now good. I mean, we've been keeping the traditions for generations. His family lives in Rockbridge County, which is up near Lexington, and when I went up there to visit them, you could still see a lot of the same traditions that you see here, because in this part of Virginia, people still hold true to those traditions. They may leave, but you see a lot of people that come back and just miss it, because in other places you lose that authenticity, you lose that magic that we have here in this part of Virginia.
Authentic. That's a good word to describe what's going on there. Authentic. I like it a lot.
Well, hey, before we jump out of here, because I know y'all got to get on going.
Yeah.
Real quick, y'all got something coming up over at 5 Points in May.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we're playing for the Black Dog Salvage Bowl May 13th. That'll be right back after I get back from Maryland. I'll be recording my album, doing some vocal tracks on May 9th and 10th. But we'll be back that weekend to play for the Black Dog Salvage Bowl. Let's just go ahead and give a big thanks to Tyler Godsey and all he's done for us, because he is one of the main guys that said, we see that you got something special, and I want to help you share it with the community. And
That's
so
Tyler.
I always try to reciprocate the kindness and generosity, because what they're doing for the Roanoke community is leaps and bounds more than any of the curators of music venues before him in this area has done.
He is revolutionary.
He's a genuine great dude, man.
He's got people.
I recognized that as soon as I met him.
He's putting Roanoke back on the map as far as a music venue place. We have the Coffee Pot. I played there for years, and it's just kind of like a limp tire. It just keeps on coming back, and it's just not helping anything. But then you have fresh venues like 5 Points that just boom.
Blowing
It makes
it
you
off
feel
every weekend.
it makes you feel like that you're really a part of something new and upcoming. And I feel like 5 years from now, 5 Points
That's
will be
Tyler
a
Godsey.
nationally recognized venue.
Well done, Tyler.
I think in 5 years, Colby's a nationally recognized musician, and we got to
couldn't
hold
agree
him to
more.
the same standards as Crawford and them.
Oh, absolutely.
That no matter how big you get, you got to always come back to a 5 Points, so us poors can actually afford to come out and see it. Because
Play for the little man, man.
yeah, absolutely. Give us those nights, because that can be something, like you said, that can be something that withstands the test of time.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping so, man. I'm hoping so.
I hope to get up there. I hope to get up there and see you. It's just such a great venue in itself.
We're opening for the Traveling McCurries there too on June 9th. That'll be right before we head down to South Carolina to open for Charlie Crockett. The Traveling McCurries they're Del McCurry's kids, and they're bluegrass super pickers. I mean, they make me look like a damn little shrimp in a sea of sharks. Is
that going to be an outdoor or indoor show?
That one's going to be indoor. Now the May 13th, that's going to be outdoor. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that one is out. That's part of the outdoor series.
Yeah.
But
Right.
the indoor one I might try, because outdoor we're going to be heading for vacation. But,
Oh yeah.
But the indoor one with the Travel McCurry's, that would be pretty cool. That'd be an event. We might have to get some tickets and maybe holler at Tyler and see if we can do a giveaway or something.
Yeah, man, that would be super awesome. I'd love for y'all to do that. We'll keep.
I'm
you posted.
very much looking forward to that. That'd be super cool.
Awesome. Well, Colby, tell them where they can find y'all at. And,
Yeah, man. You can find me on Facebook at Colby T. Helms. That's my official Facebook page, and on Instagram at Colby.T.Helms on Instagram, and my same handle can be used for TikTok too. I just got on TikTok not too long ago. You'll have to
you're letting the
forgive
Chinese
me.
into your life.
I'm new into that. I'm like a 20-year-old kid, but I feel like an 80-year-old man getting on TikTok. I don't really enjoy it, but I feel like if I could spread some of these songs and some of this knowledge I got to some of the younger audience, maybe we can get a different fan base. So, I'm kind of trying my hand at that. You can find us on Bandcamp too. Actually, now my management system just got us on Bandcamp and find out where we're going to be playing at next. But other than that, I don't have a Twitter yet. I'm not.
Well, you'll get there.
I'm not getting political with my Twitter or anything. You know, I'm just kind of
Twitter's a no holds barred kind of fight.
putting the music out there.
Elon done opened her up.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate sitting in with y'all boys. We'll have to get together soon as I get this album recorded and talk about what's up next.
Oh, that I can't wait.
Yeah, I tell you
Can't
what,
wait.
let's put that one on the calendar. When you get it done, we'll sit down.
Give
with
us a
Billy,
holler.
We'll sit down with Billy Hurt. And
Oh, yeah.
and we'll make that one. We might even bring on Josh Christ if he'll throw me a couple $100. I'll let him come sit in and at least listen to what
He might learn
musicians-
something. Oh no, hang about. I love Josh.
Yeah. Well, so Simon, pretty good day. I mean, it didn't go as we expected. We were hoping the weather would have cooperated a little bit better. It didn't, but all things considered, we got a show with some.
Oh, we got
Tyler
some
Christmas
great names.
Got
Come on
Henry
now.
Law, Sandra, Colby. I mean,
Yeah.
damn fine afternoon. I consider this
Yeah, and great fun.
success and had a lot of fun. So,
Right on.
gentlemen, thank y'all so much for your time.
Yeah.
And we'll
Yeah,
catch you next
absolutely.
time.
We'll see y'all.
Right on, fellas.
Well, I've been a moonshiner for many long years, and I spend all my money on whiskey and beer. Go down in some hollow and set up my still, and I'll sell you a gallon for a $2 bill. I'll eat when I'm hungry, Lord, drink when I'm dry. And if whiskey don't kill me, Lord, live till I die. God bless the moonshiners, they're all friends of mine. For their breath is sweeter than the dew on the vine. Go down in some hollow, Lord, and drink with my friends. But no women to bother me, see what I spend. God bless the pretty women, Lord, I wish one was mine. 'Cause their breath is sweeter than even moonshine. Well, I've been a moonshiner for many long years, and I spend all my money on whiskey and beer. I go down in some hollow and set up my still, and I'll sell you a gallon for a $2 bill.